100 years of law enforcement in his blood, Tommy Sedner. It's all things sports, plus cop talk, current events, entertainment, and more. Joined by America's favorite Jersey girl, Robin DeLory. It's the King and the Cop. Now, here's Tommy, Jimmy, and Robin.
Good afternoon, Tampa. You're listening to the King and the Cop, and I'm Tommy Sedner, a.k.a. the Cop.
And I'm the King, Jim Leyritz.
And we are live in DeLory Studios in New Jersey. Jimmy's in California, and I'm joined by Robin DeLory. Good afternoon, Robin.
Hi, guys.
How are you?
Good.
Hey, at 4:15, we're going to be joined by Robert Brown, former decorated cop in Old Bridge, New Jersey, turned attorney, and where he's going to weigh in on the slap around the world. I guess we got to get back into that again, but make a long story short, that's what we're going to do in that situation. We are going to say this. There's been, let me back up. Hello, friends. There's been a tiger sighting. Jimmy Tiger Woods is walking the grounds and playing a practice round at Augusta. He's back.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. I'm curious and what that's going to be all about. Bottom line is he is with his son, Charlie. So this might be an opportunity for him to say, hey, listen, let's go play Augusta. And you can see what the conditions are like when the pros are playing. I wouldn't read too much into it because, Tommy, we've talked about this before. I've been to the Masters many, many times. And when you walk that course, just to walk the course as a spectator, it is grueling. And I can't imagine that Tiger, who hasn't played in any tournaments this year, is ready to jump out and that particular course to start his new journey again in the PGA. So I think it's just a little bit of a, hey, come check it out. Get a little bit, the Masters are saying, we love this. It's going to get us more publicity, but just come out here and play with your kid.
Well, I assume he was going to show up for the Champions Dinner. And if he really wasn't intending to play, he could have played with Charlie, a couple days before, anytime he wants at Augusta. You really don't think, knowing the champion, the greatest, maybe the greatest, you can argue Jack Nicklaus, both of them are equally unbelievable for the sport, but nobody dominated like him. And Jack never had the injuries that Tiger's sustained through the years. You really don't think he's out there knowing that what's he has, that he's trying to play? I'm wearing green today. I'm wearing my Masters green today because I believe it.
I do think he's
really ended up happening. I remember we were all devastated, and then
He was shooting a commercial out by Jimmy,
and he was tired.
0700 in the morning, and listen. Let's be fair to this guy for a minute. I don't know why he's driving himself at that time in the morning. Let's not relive the whole thing.
He's never have to drive himself,
right? But the LA sheriff clearly said there was no wrongdoing there other than they believe he fell asleep. And that's possible because Jimmy, as an athlete, and we're going to talk to Bob at 4:15. He's been shot in the line of duty, and I'm not the healthiest guy this past year. Sometimes you have to take a little prescribed medicine, and they think that's what it was. And he's lucky he's alive. So I'm just happy to hear the guys walking around at the Masters because the truth of the matter is he's it.
So he's in pain. He was working overtime, basically, in terrible, horrific pain and fell asleep at the wheel.
One will never know, right? He was by himself.
Well, there's some sort of toxicology they have to do, right?
Zero. No charges whatsoever at all. None. And but Jimmy, to your point, I mean, I've never been there, but all you hear from the same consistent conversation about the rough terrain to walk those hills, never mind to hit from them and play off them, just to walk them. And because again, I'll say this again, you're going again, and I'll be alone on Friday that week, but you've walked it as a fan. How did you feel? Because when I walk behind you, you're no picnic either walking these days. And he's had worse injuries than you probably.
Are we really going to complain about walking beautiful, beautiful greens across the whole country? Like it's that, like there's football players getting like pounced and killed and concussed.
Don't minimize. Golf is a violent sport.
I'm not minimizing the sport. I can't even hit a golf ball.
Yeah. Pardon, Jimmy. What say you?
Yeah. Well, Robin, honestly, I'll tell you what, Tommy, you want to give her an idea? Go take her out to Bethpage Black.
Exactly.
Let her walk all 18 holes on page with, again, you don't need to put a bag on your shoulder. Just go walk it like you're playing a round of golf. And I can tell you, after doing the Masters 2 days in a row, I did not care if I went back the third and the fourth day because I was extremely tired. And after 5 years of doing it, I will never walk more than 2 days in a row because even as a spectator, if you walk all 18 holes, it's not very easy. And these guys are swinging a club. They're under a lot of pressure. And he's coming back from an injury that,
I never thought he was going to walk again.
Why can't he take a golf cart?
Because that's not allowed. Years ago, there was a gentleman that had a PGA. They tried to get a permission because he had a disease, and they wouldn't allow it. And let me just say this to you.
What about a therapy pet?
How about this, Robin DeLore? You played Pebble Beach with me. I don't know about that, but you had a blanket wrapped around you, a ski cap on you, and you couldn't even get out of the car when we're on hole 7.
It was 20 below,
But
Tommy.
these are what Jimmy's talking about, the conditions of the courses, whether it be the hills and the long terrain or the weather. We don't know what kind of weather. You watch me when by the way, it's not 30 degrees in New Jersey again. I couldn't even carry my grandson down the walkway this morning because it's so damn cold here and slippery.
Well, you've obviously never walked the whole Walt Disney World, the parks with your toddlers.
No, I haven't. I won't. But I hope Jimmy, it ends up being a good story. I guess you might put it under that category of there's a champion out there, and then other people they'll watch on Thursday and Friday if he's playing to see if it's going to be a train wreck too. Like everybody else, one's the loneliest number, so not everybody's rooting for him. But I think it would be cool. And speaking of Charlie, his son, I'm sure within 7-8 years we'll be watching him somewhere on the tour because this kid is just amazing. And I know you've seen him play, Jimmy, down in Florida. So we're going to be. There's a couple different stories today, Jimmy, and I'll lead this into Bob as this Will Smith thing. I mean, you two beat up on me yesterday, but Chris Rock comes out and gives an apology today. It's my fault. I should have known better. They're my friends. I love them. All that happy horde, you know what, crap. And then hours later, he comes out and says they should take his award away from him. And Jada's coming out and saying we all need to do healing. And then there's all the sarcasm. And I mean this sincerely. This is none of our business, and I have no idea if it's true. And then the reports are, we have an open marriage, and basically you can be with this one, you can be with that one, but don't talk about my wife's hair. So what say you before we bring Mr. Brown on today? What are you hearing?
Listen, we've had a full day now of people weighing in, and I watched Shannon Sharp today on Uninterrupted. And he just said, listen, it's lucky I wasn't the comedian standing on that stage because Will Smith would have been knocked down. And just, I think everybody to a T at this point. People yesterday were a little bit taken back, probably a little bit on the defensive because no one was sure if this was real or not. Again, you never know what these guys do and what they would set up or whatever. But I think everybody realized after Will's comments that the slap was definitely real. And
Brenda doesn't think it's real, right?
She thinks the whole thing was made up and staged. And I find that really very hard to believe. It really looked so real. Chris Rock's face, he was stunned. It was like his breath was taken.
Well, if it's not real, will they take his award away from him?
They should either way.
Yeah. Hey, with further ado, highly decorated police officer shot in the line of duty from Old Bridge, New Jersey, then flipped his career from being a cop into a established lawyer in the area, just fighting for the rights of cops. And I'm anxious, Mr. Brown, to hear what you have to say about Will Smith, the simple assault that took place and heard around the world. How you doing, Bob?
Hey, Tommy, thank you. Robin and Jim below, how are you?
Hey, Bob.
Hi.
I'm talking to you from sunny Naples, Florida.
Yeah, typical Jersey guy when you got to
rub it into you guys.
I know,
At least for a
but
couple more weeks.
No, I'm back down in a few days, and I can't agree with you more. Every time I walk out and the cold bites your face, you wonder why you're here. I mean, I don't get it. But what do you think, Bob? What's your feeling? I know a lot of it's hoopla, it's a bunch of nonsense, but what do you think when you see something like that? We've seen it all, but when he walked up and slapped him across the face, what were your first thoughts?
Well, you know, what's funny is that I was watching a little bit of the red carpet with my wife because we were having dinner. And then I started to realize a lot of the movies we didn't see. So we chose not to watch the Oscars. So then later on the news, they had all the story. And then you saw it repetitively each time. And you're looking at it. And then you see Will Smith sitting there, you know, laughing a little bit, I guess, when Chris Rock was making the jokes. And then out of nowhere, he walks up on the stage and gives him a slap. And it's like, I think what we didn't see was his wife probably saying, you know, he disrespected me. Are you going to let him do that?
Exactly.
That egged him on and got him out there, and he did that slap.
That's what Jimmy said yesterday. You know, like he laughed at it at first, right, Jimmy? You were saying?
Yeah, and again, if you see, there's an angle that somebody had that they posted that they were behind them, and you can see them, and literally you could see her turn to him, and again, I don't know what to believe, but the guy said that was doing it. She said, "Are you going to really let that happen?" And that's what proceeded.
And
I don't know if that's true or not.
Will make you crazy.
But then the crazy thing is, as soon as the award is presented to Questlove, that Chris Rock presents, Will Smith is the first one to get up and shake his hand like he's his best buddy. And then they sit back down and they're still laughing about things. And I'm like, how are you sitting there laughing after you just assaulted somebody on stage? It was just crazy. And then later they show the after party when he's dancing on the dance floor and he's having this great old time. I would think that I would have probably been a little bit embarrassed and probably would have taken myself home had it really hurt my feelings. You know, what he said. I just think it was just a brutal act by Will Smith, and something should be done about it.
Bob, Jimmy used the word assault. Now, there's 300 police officers surrounding that building, and they witnessed it. How come nobody locked them up?
Well, that's just it. It's the same as policemen going to football, baseball games. When the players disagree and they start slugging you out, no one's jumping on the field to break it up. It's all
right.
Part of the game. They'll police themselves. But what I'm surprised, Jimmy, Robin, and Tommy, is that where was the security? Yeah. Anybody could have walked on that stage. And the thing about it was just really, when he was being joked about, why didn't him and his wife just get up and leave, walk out? You know they would have stopped him because he's an Academy Award nominee. All right, hold on. And then they have him go back, and then maybe there might have been the apology said, but no swinging. But the thing you got to realize, as we're seeing it today in police work and just everyday driving, road rage, everything's recorded. Yeah. Everything is recorded. You got to be on your best behavior. You got to watch what you say. I mean, take a look at that tape. You could play that all different ways.
It knocked Russia and Ukraine off the front page of the news for a day, for 2 days. It knocked them right off. It knocked the war right off the page because of a silly punk slap. The question I also have is, you know, like you said, it's being played over and over and over and over. As far as I'm concerned, yeah, it was an overzealous move by Will Smith but whatever. But hey, Chris Rock, can you get a pair and fight back for God's sakes? But that being said, is he going to fight back in court now? Does he have a civil lawsuit?
Let's put it this way. He would have a criminal as a victim. Secondly, he'd have a civil. But in reality, no one's going to sue anybody. It's raised Chris Rock's with ticket sales.
Yeah.
All of a sudden that shot up. Will Smith, people are going to go say, hey, let's go see the movie. I mean, it created controversy, but controversy replies in dollars for both of these guys.
You know what?
It's advantageous for both of them.
We're on a Big 8 here, 820 AM, WWBA with Jimmy Leyritz, Tommy Setner, and Robin Delory with our special guest, Bob Brown, attorney, talking about Will Smith. Go ahead, Jimmy. What were you going to ask, Bob?
Well, it's your typical Hollywood. Any publicity is good publicity. You know? Yeah,
I mean, or not, but you know, he's so established. You think he really cares? I mean, Chris Rock is now doing shows. I know he's coming to Newark, New Jersey, actually, with Kevin Hart. So I agree with you, Bob. He took the pity route. That's what I read. His statement looked like a pity route, and people are going to feel bad for him, and he's going to get more opportunity. Poor Chris Rock. Chris Rock's handed it out pretty good, and he hopefully deep down inside, he's the first one to admit that. I don't believe the alopecia story, by the way. I believe that she has it, and it's a terrible disease. I believe that. But I don't believe that he went and defended his woman because of that. I just don't. There's so many different rumors about their open marriage, and all of a sudden you wanted to defend her in that minute. Where have you been? I just don't know. But that's his man problem, if you will. It's not our problem. And at that point, he took an opportunity. Probably he's an actor. Let's not forget that. It's bringing him major attention. Maybe he didn't think he was going to win the Oscar that night, and he wanted to steal the attention. So we got 2 minutes, Bobby. Let's talk about what you think at the end of the day will happen. Will it go away? Will it be a lawsuit, or will this just go on?
I don't think there'll be a lawsuit. I think the Academy for the Oscars, they will probably do something, maybe disinvite him. I don't believe they're going to take his Oscar away from him. It's just a matter of public opinion about the 2 of these guys, Chris and Will. Do you turn around and say, I'm not going to go to the movie. I'm not going to go to Chris Rock shows. That's not going to happen. People want to see these 2 guys, 2 good actors and comedians when they do appear on screen. Likable guys, but the 2 of them just did not agree that night.
Here's my
thing. The sad thing is it's on tape.
Yeah. Here's my closing statement on it. On the day of National Vietnam War Veterans Day, the real heroes. I don't know how much I've seen that on the front page other than these 2 clowns. And that makes me a little sick. So we have tremendous respect. Jimmy does so much for veterans, and we're a big veteran household. And I know you are, Bobby. And on a personal note, before we let you go, happy birthday to our friend, our good man, Dennis Cronin. It's his birthday today.
Oh, yes, big Dennis. Yes, I've worked with him many years.
Yeah, Dennis was, he's a dear friend. He's like a brother to me, a big Irishman. He's down there in Florida also. So happy birthday. I know Dennis listens to the show. Bob, thanks for coming on. I'm going to try to grab your son this week, who's a former player with Jimmy and I, and played in our league, in the Atlantic League, and get him on. But hopefully you'll continue to weigh in on all our legal matters. I'll give you a little more notice next time. It was great to have you on.
Tommy, anytime. Tom, Robin, and Jimmy, thank you. And Mr. Jimmy, Mr. Clutch, I saw your little write-up there. Yes, you were the Clutch guy for the New York Yankees.
He sure was.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby.
We'll talk to you soon.
Good years. Thank you.
So we're going to go to break now. Don't forget to give us a call today. We're live, 727-518-0820. We're in Delory Studios. Jimmy's in California. And look forward to hearing anybody if you want to talk about Will Smith. Truth of the matter is I don't feel like talking about it. Let's do sports when we get back. We got some sports news.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles. continues. Let's get back to the show. It's Tommy, Jimmy, and Robin.
Welcome back to the King and the Cop. We're live on the Big 820 AM. I'm Tommy Setner. I'm with Jimmy Leyritz and Robin Delory. Hey, Jimmy, I think Aaron Hicks, center fielder of the Yankees, drank some caffeine, went on a podcast, and decided he's going to basically tell everybody how the Yankees are going to feel about people, other teams, and what their new slogan may be. And we'll keep it clean. But what do you think, Jimmy? I know you know Aaron Hicks. I thought it was pretty good if you listened to the whole thing.
Well, I have a feeling after watching it, this is CC Sabathia's new podcast. And obviously it's uncensored.
Yeah. Rated R.
Yeah. And I just found it, listen, as being a New York Yankee, as being someone that, when Jack McDowell flips off the crowd, it's considered, not Yankee style. It's not the way the Yankees are supposed to be, and that's just flipping somebody off. But hearing the language and hearing the things that were being said on that podcast, I guess we are in a different phase of kids and how the game is, how we want to portray ourselves in the game as far as being a New York Yankee. It was really interesting to hear, again, the way they were talking, but I guess that's the way the podcast is formatted.
Well, Jimmy, for our listeners, the positive part I took out of it was Aaron Hicks was saying the days when Leyritz and Jeter and Pettit and Mariano Rivera and Tino Martinez and Paul O'Neill and Bernie Williams, you guys walked around with your chests puffed out and with a little bit of I'll say it, FU attitude that you're not beating us. You're never beating us. And he just was a little more graphic with it, but what he really has messed up, we need to get back to this.
Yeah, I liked what he said. It was just a little taken back by, I didn't know this was an open podcast that they could say whatever they wanted to. And
yeah.
Not like I don't use those where I haven't said those words before, but it was just interesting to hear. But I think it's right. It's like I told you when I sent you the video, like, dude, this is pretty crazy, but I like the attitude. I like the fact that the Yankees want to be, because that's really, honestly, in the old stadium when we had Jeff Nelson on our radio show, he said there was an intimidation going into play in Yankee Stadium, in that old stadium, that beer was thrown all over them when they started to warm up, and there was that intimidation factor. And over the years, I can tell you that I have teams that they look forward to going to see Yankee Stadium and play in Yankee Stadium now as a visiting team, which that was not the case before.
Well, I welcome it back as a fan and as somebody that we're going to be the lead in on the Big 8 to the Yankee games down in Florida. And it would be nice. I think these guys have got a little too comfortable and they need to step it up a little bit with their attitude. I really do. I believe that. You played the game. People, when you were young, they would say, oh, that guy's cocky. And then when you were older and you were a champion, you had confidence. Same thing, same definition. And I'd love to see the Yankees have some cockiness about them and walk around like you guys did in the 90s.
And it does help when you bring in players like Garrett Cole, who are very vocal, guy like Josh Donaldson, who isn't afraid of pretty much anybody. Maybe that is rubbing off a little bit on these guys and say, hey, what, we haven't won and we've had one championship in 21 years. Maybe something needs to change here.
Robin's just showing me a text from my nephew, JT, Jimmy, who you took to the Jorge Posada Foundation dinner years ago. And he said, Uncle Tom, you forgot to mention my name, Jorge Posada. Jorge Posada was one of my favorite guys that walked around, and you didn't mess with him. He would have fought everybody on the Red Sox by himself. And maybe that's what we're saying. Let's go, Yankees. Get a little fight into you. Speaking of fight, Jimmy, Hall of Famer, Robin, you got to weigh in on this. Hall of Famer Jim Thome's wife decided they're big-time Cleveland people. They had season tickets to the Cleveland Browns, and she's so disgusted by the signing of Watson as their quarterback, which you properly described the other day has been before 2 trials, alleged, and has not been charged. But she took it a step further, and as a woman, she was disgusted by the sexual allegations against him, and she withdrew their season tickets for the Cleveland Browns. What's your thoughts? And then, Robin, I want to get your thoughts as somebody that runs the family household. that believes in things, and you have moral beliefs, and her beliefs overweighed her love for the Cleveland Browns to win the championship with a new quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is, you can be accused of anything, and it's, I'm living proof. Living proof. You can be accused of anything, and the allegations are even if they're found false, even if 2 grand juries have looked at them and said there's not a case here. There were relationships involved in these masseuses. They were having consensual relationships. Okay, and again, whether it was 1 woman or 22 women, nobody ever complained until that relationship ended. And nobody ever accused anybody of doing something wrong while they were in that relationship until it was over with. So to me, it's a hard thing to judge. Again, when a player, and let's just throw Tiger Woods out there, Tiger Woods had over 70 women come out and say, oh, but you know what? Maybe 10, maybe 5 had a legitimate reason to say, hey, I had an affair. I had to deal this with, not 72. And I'm telling you right now, out of those 22 women, and again, I am all for women being protected. But the bottom line is, out of those 22 women, how many of them went right forward right away and went forward before Deshaun Watson was going to start making big money?
You know the big mistake we're making, you and I, right now? Let's get the opinion of a woman feeling as to living this and through the industries. And I know you also, Robin, do not like people being charged with something that they have every right to prove their innocence. And if they are innocent, it should be left go. Your guy on the right here, you're living with him, and the guy across your screen here, you're living with. But I think she has a right to feel that way as a woman. If she feels that where there's smoke, there's fire, she said to her Hall of Fame baseball husband, I don't want to support the football anymore because the allegations of sexual abuse or sexual allegations, even though they were just alleged, that was good enough for her. What's your thoughts on that?
I guess I feel like she probably she's tired of going to the games and would rather watch it from home, and she's going to use that as an excuse. But this is where it gets sticky for me, because this is what I don't understand. Do you know how many people out there could be accused? She'd never go to anything.
It's true.
So it's like
so you don't want a hypothetical here. You're on Jimmy.
I'm going to say one thing. I'm going to give you a definite. I'm going to do a definite opinion on this. I have every right, if something doesn't feel right and I don't want to support and sit in it, whether he is guilty or not, innocent until proven guilty. But let's just say he triggers me for some reason, and even the allegations disgust me. I have every right to say I don't want to be a part of it.
I'll volley back to Jimmy, but I bet you we ask you the same question. Why do you make it public then? Why don't you just withdraw your season tickets and go away? Why do you got to give this guy another punk smack on the way out the door?
Well, everybody's got to go public with everything nowadays. I don't know. But to your point, you're absolutely right. Just quietly not go.
Right.
I don't want to do it anymore, you know?
Yeah.
And Jimmy,
here's what I'll tell you.
Jim told me, right?
It wasn't just one tweet. There was a couple of them that she responded.
Yep.
And I think after the first one, seeing some of the comments, seeing what people were saying about, why are you judging somebody before they've been judged and before they've having a right to prove themselves? And I think she kind of got wind of that. And she did come back and say, again, she's a very lucky woman because she is married to one of the, let me say, 10% of Major League Baseball players that were probably faithful to their wife their entire career, because Jim Thome is that guy. And I love Jim Thome to death, and I'll state that to begin with. But I will say this. I respected the fact that she finally came back and said, whether the allegations are true or not, it's the way I feel. And I will donate these tickets if the Browns don't give me my money back. And all the money that I receive for these tickets, I will donate for abused women and for the, I appreciated that.
Right.
And I think that's after she realized, okay, she's going to get judged for what she said. She realized that, okay, maybe I got to take a little different stance.
You're listening to the Big 8820 AM WWBA Sports Talk Florida with Jimmy Leyritz, Tommy Setner, and Robin Delory. And we're talking about Jim Thome's wife, basically taking a moral route that she doesn't believe that the Cleveland Browns should have signed Watson as their quarterback. She thought it was the wrong thing, and she withdrew her season tickets. But, like you said, I do not know Jim Thome. I followed him. What a fabulous player, Hall of Fame player, and I love listening to him on the MLB Network. And you know what I'm even more, I think is really cool? A lot of guys at that level, or a lot of guys, people at that level say, hey, your wife can't say that. Hey, your wife can't do that. No, he actually let his wife be his wife, like I hope that I do with my wife. She's her own person. And, good for them as a couple. He could take the sack. Watson could take the sack, I'm sure. He's been beat up enough both on and off the field. But, you can't it's just an opinion. That's all it is. And she took a different opinion, and good for her. That if they won't give her money back, she's going to give the tickets
She
away.
must have hired a great PR person to kind of fix that mess that she had started, right? Because that was a great answer and a great response to, hey, I might have taken this public when I probably shouldn't have aired my, opinion on Twitter. And so it looks like some good kind of came out of that. From what I understand, the way, Jimmy, you're telling me that she wrote some tweets and then came back with that.
Yeah, that's the way it looked like. It looked like there was a couple of tweets in there that, and the final thing was, if the Browns don't give me my money back, that I will sell these tickets, and then I will donate that money to good causes.
I hope they don't give the money back so she can donate it. Yeah, because she probably doesn't need it.
Right.
I'm sure she doesn't, but she feels she did the right thing, and good for her. We're going to go to break in 2 minutes, but before we do, a little more NFL, Jimmy. Here's a bizarre rule change, which I think is needed, but then they kind of contradict themselves. So NFL has decided, 29 owners against 3, said no more of this one possession crap in the playoffs. Each team will get a possession. You don't want to see a team get to the playoffs. Somebody goes down the field and scores a touchdown and the game's over and the other guy doesn't even get a chance. But in the regular season, the rule stays the same. So are you telling me during the regular season that a game you lose because somebody went down and scored a touchdown right away might not affect you getting into the playoffs? So I don't understand this. And that's why the Steelers head coach voted against it. But what's your thoughts? Do you think that they needed to change this rule? I sure do. I mean, I hate watching my team sit on the sidelines after going into overtime and not even getting a crack at it.
Yeah, I really love the college rule. I love the college rule. It says, hey, give the guys the ball on the 25-yard line, and each team gets one possession, and whoever scores. If they both get a field goal, then they go again. And you usually have the team that makes the best play win, which is what it's all about as far as overtime goes. But I do like that. I never liked the rule that if the other team that gets the possession first scores a touchdown, automatically wins. The other team doesn't get another chance. I don't think that's fair.
Yeah, I agree. All right, you're listening to Big 8 Radio, 820 AM WWBA Sports Talk Florida. When we come back, we expect to hear from more callers at 727-518-0820. Again, thanks to Robert Brown, lawyer and friend from Old Bridge, New Jersey. Some good information on his part. So we'll see you after the break. We're going to talk some NBA, some NCAA, and maybe a little more golf.
continues.
Welcome back to the King and the Cop with Jimmy Leyritz, Tommy Setner, and Robin Delory. You know, one good thing came out of the Oscars. I don't know if you saw this. Jamie Lee Curtis came out on stage with that puppy.
Oh,
Yes, that was for Betty White. Yeah.
Yeah, and Will Smith didn't smack the puppy, but John Travolta's son adopted it, so that's good news.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm full of information today. You know,
Wow.
he probably kicked the dog as he went by. Will Smith.
God forbid.
God forbid.
Don't say that.
Well, I don't know, but what's on the NBA front, Mr. Leyritz? We have 4 games to go?
Yeah. Most teams have around 4 games to go, and it's going to be an interesting ending. So right now, it looks like the East is the Heat, the 76ers, the Bucks, the Celtics, the Bulls, the Raptors, the Cavs, the Nets, the Hornets, and the Hawks. And
Question: who you picking? Who's your NBA favorite, if you will? Like we do the Final Four and the Elite Eight. Who you liking right off the cuff? And I know you'll change your mind.
I've got 2 picks. One is because James Harden joined the 76ers. I think that might be one of the best 1-2 combinations with him and Embiid. But the other one is our Brooklyn Nets getting Kyrie Irving back for the run, and he can be playing at home now because this team proved they were a completely different team on the road with Kyrie and when he wasn't allowed to play.
Yeah.
And now that he is allowed to play, I think they're primed to make a pretty good run here.
Well, Joey Robin's son came down about a half hour ago because he doesn't realize that we're working her in studio. All the lights probably thinks we're taking pictures of ourselves, but he's like, let's go to the Brooklyn Nets game tonight. Let's go to the Brooklyn Nets game tonight. And it's a big game. It's a big game. So I told him we'll go another night, but he's a big Brooklyn fan. We've gone to many a game. He loves them. And they're playing I don't know that anybody's more clutch than Kevin Durant.
No, he's one of the greatest scorers of all time. You've heard arguments between Shaq and Barkley and those guys talking about the greatest guys to play and who's the greatest player in the game today, greatest scorer. A lot of people say, the greatest shooter is Steph Curry. The best big man might be Joel Embiid, but they all say the same thing. The best and most dominant player and probably considered the best player, not LeBron, is Kevin Durant.
Yeah, I would agree. Speaking of the big fella, his son outed out of LSU and went back into the portal. He's transferring out of LSU, got a little playing time there. But, again, we're learning that from our own home right now. These kids now can just shuffle around these college universities at will, if you will. Speaking of will. But that was good, huh?
That was great.
But, speaking not of will, Jimmy, who do you think out in the West? Who do you like out in the West in the NBA?
Well, right now you got the Suns leading with the Grizzlies, the Warriors, the Mavs, the Jazz, the Nuggets, the Timberwolves, the Clippers, the Pelicans, and then the Lakers right now are 10th. But the Spurs are only 1 game back of the Lakers. So there could be some changes in those last 2 spots in the West. But Tommy, listen, I've been watching Phoenix play all year long. They've only lost 14 games this year. I mean, compared to the rest of the NBA, the next closest is 23 losses. That's a big separation in professional sport.
Yeah, sure is. It's dominating.
Yeah, I just think the Spurs are, they're playing good ball right now. They're 9 out of their last 10 they've won. They're playing good. They're fairly healthy, and I think they're going to be the team to beat out of the West.
Well, the Spurs also have the best coach, arguably in the NBA too. So it'll be interesting. Speaking of coaches, I got to read this from Jamie Valvano, the late Jimmy Valvano's, because we talk about Coach K a lot, and I came across this today, and bear with me. Her words: in my dad's enduring 1993 ESPY speech, the famous "Never give up, never give up, never quit" when he was dying of cancer, revealed how he felt about this man. I rode on the plane today with Coach K, my good friend, she's quoting her father, and wonderful coach. Perhaps people don't realize he's 10 times a better person than he is a great coach. He meant a lot to me in these last 5 or 6 months with my battle. 26 years have passed, and Coach K still serves on the V Foundation board and honors my dad's last request to help him cure cancer. Their bond transcends X's and O's. Cheers for your team, but recognize you certainly don't know the true hearts of the individual on the court. Coach K, I'll never forget when Coach Valvano made that speech. He couldn't stand. And who was it but Coach K that went and took his buddy underneath one arm and carried him basically off of that stage. So here's another, people are coming out and reminiscing about Coach K, how wonderful he is on the court, but you make mention of how he's changed all these players' lives. And Robin, you know, the battles that we've been through within our own family, you see who the day in and day out struggles when people get stricken with a disease and what it takes. And you see friends go on with their lives, and they should. And usually it's your family that stays by your side. But in this case, all these years later, Coach K still, you know, the Jimmy V Foundation, he's still on the foundation, still preaching, but more important, he gave up everything for back then. He would go and be with his friend when he was suffering. So Jimmy, I guess the sentimental favorite again from, I know in our hearts is to hell with your pool, but we're rooting for Duke, for Coach K, you know, and this was nice to read in a day, the last couple of days filled with a bunch of nonsense out of Hollywood. It's nice to see that there's really still good men out there and good women out there doing the right thing by each other.
Yeah, and it's great that they're still playing that way. This still stays out there, and we can talk about some positive things. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing like being in a university for 42 straight years, but not so much just being at the university. Being at a university where the basketball team has never, I think they only lost 3 times in double digits. 3 times in the entire 42 years that he was there. And again, we're not talking about the team that was number 1 every year. We're talking about he had to compete getting the recruits like Kentucky, from Alabama, all those SEC schools, all the other ACC, North Carolina, all those schools that he had to recruit against, to be able to maintain that level of success and that level of, it's why he's put in the same category as John Wooden, because John Wooden, that was that way at UCLA.
You know, it sounds to me that this kind of transcends the world of sports and basketball. It sounds to me that the way that you're explaining this wonderful human being, he's getting rewarded back by pretty much having a great basketball program, right? For really never losing, hardly ever, right? I mean, You do good in the world and you get good back. And I can only imagine how many lives he's changed in terms of these young men that get to play for him too, you know?
Well, he's one of the few coaches over those 42 years that there has been any cloud of suspicion that he was recruiting illegally, that he was doing something wrong, that, you know, and the one great thing, like Tommy and I talked about it before, when you went to that, when you saw that last game and Duke played against North Carolina, and even though the team lost, the people that were at that game, they weren't other guys that went on to play the NBA. There are other guys that went on to have other careers and other things, and they all alluded to the same thing. It was a discipline that Coach K taught them on being a basketball player that has translated into the discipline that they run their lives now and the way they grew up as men. And Coach K was a big influence on that. And that's, to me, if you're a coach, I would get more excited than a Shaquille O'Neal going to the NBA if I had a guy that came and said, you know what, because of you, I became an attorney, I became a doctor, I became this, I became that, and really, really was influenced by that coach. And I think that's pretty amazing.
You know, you're listening to the Big 8, 820 AM, WWBA Sports Talk Florida. Call us 727-518-0820, 0820. Robin, I got a question for you.
What is that, Tommy? What would you like to ask me?
I want you to weigh in on exactly what we're talking about right now.
Okay.
You are meeting coaches, head coaches. They're recruiting your son. As a mother, do you sit there and check off intangible boxes as far as, I really like that coach, I forget X's and O's. What's he going to do for my son after life, after football?
I wish that I had a better answer for you, but I can't believe you're asking me this, because this whole process has been nothing more than just a full-fledged agita every single day of my life.
Yeah, but it's still exciting for you. But
I'm honored that I have a son that is, of course, but it's stressing me out 110%. I don't know where he's going to go. He's not talking to me because he's a teenager. He's not talking to anybody. And I personally think that if he could, be a senior at Hanover Park High School for the rest of his life, he'll just keep repeating it, like that movie that same year just keeps repeating and repeating.
In fairness to him, it's the pressure, and Jimmy can relate to this. When you get to that age and you get the pressure and everybody's giving you a full court press, not that it's basketball, it's football. He's just kind of gone silent on us because it's nervous. It's a real nerve.
I respect that, but we could have some conversation about it, because at the end of the day, there's only 3 weeks to decide.
Jimmy was over to you. You know what he needs, Jimmy? He needs a good fresh punk smack right now just to wake him up. Is that fair?
It is fair.
Right,
that is fair. But you know what I want to say about your initial question? I used to be a teacher, and I taught performing arts. And to Jimmy's point, obviously on a much smaller level, we're not talking in the NBA, but when you go into coaching and you go into teaching, you go in with the idea and the hope that you're going to be making a difference. So, this guy didn't start out as a famous coach, college coach. He probably, I don't know how he started out, but it's very likely that he started out as a teacher somewhere. And my point with that is that even if you can say that you touched 2 or 3 kids, the future of 2 or 3 kids and shaped that, then you've done your job.
Is there anybody that you don't have to say what school? Is there anybody that you met as a head coach that you favored upon? You thought, like, boy, Michael, I would like you to be under the tutelage of this coach.
Yeah. The coach.
Don't say the university and blow the.
No, the coach from Notre Dame actually knocked on our door. Remember?
No, I don't.
I know. It never happened.
It never happened.
No, I'm not getting specific. I just, I know that my son will excel. I do know that this is a tough time in their lives, and I do know that it's a big decision. But I do think that I have my pick, and you know which one we all want, actually.
Right.
But I don't know that I want to get, I will tell you, when he makes the decision, I'll wear the sweatshirt of the college he went to.
You'll have a signing day. Jimmy, you know that you raised 3 boys yourself, and you're a famous athlete that walks around. The pressure upon the sons, just walking around and everybody coming up to their dad asking for their autograph. There was a lot of pressure. At 1920, though, you didn't know what the right decision was to do. You were a walk-on at Kentucky, and then all of a sudden, out of a mistake, one team passed on you, and the Yankees wind up drafting you.
Yeah,
you burned that team years later, the Braves.
To tell you how it really did happen, I was so sure that I was going to be drafted out of high school that whenever my parents said, "Jimmy, start picking a college. Jimmy, start looking at colleges," don't worry about it. I don't care. I'm going to be a professional baseball player. They're going to draft me, and I'm going to play I'm not going to even go to college. That was the attitude that I had.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, with the broken foot, when I broke my foot, it was pretty close to everybody had already signed, everybody already given out their scholarships. There wasn't a whole lot of options for me. And my mom and dad said to me, "You know what, Jimmy? You waited this long. We're going to go pick your college out. And you're going to go wherever we tell you." And Tommy, they got in the car and they went to 7 junior colleges up and down the coast of Florida and Georgia. And they came to me and they said, "Okay, we got your school. You're going to Middle Georgia Junior College." I hadn't seen it. I hadn't met the coach. My parents met the coach. They said, "My son's coming here." And I showed up. The first day on campus is the first time I ever saw my college. Wow. Because my mom and dad said to me, "You don't make the decision, we'll make it for you."
Right. Yeah, I think that's cool.
Yeah, that would work really well here.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
Hey, we're going to go to break in about a minute. Before I go, I'm going to give you both, we'll each take 20 seconds. Vietnam veterans. I work with two of the greatest men that were Vietnam veterans, Bobby Avalone and Jay DuPont, and they've passed on. They were my partners. They were my brothers, and they were proud Vietnam veterans. And my father's good friend and our family friend and dear friend I work with, Eddie Brannigan. I know he supports the Vietnam veterans. I remember him speaking to Billy Joel. He was on the stage with Billy Joel at a concert. Robin, anybody that I know both dad and brother served in the Navy, but it's a big day. Vietnam veterans didn't get the credit that they should have back then. It was the loss of war.
No, I have a lot of relatives that are in the armed forces, the Navy in particular.
And that's why you're wearing your American sweater.
That's
today.
right. No, I'm very patriotic.
No, you are. I'm being serious.
I actually feel sad when I think about Vietnam veterans because I don't think that they get. I think that, they are truly the living heroes every single day in this country. And there's something so wrong with this country that we're just overshadowing it. I mean, we spent 2 days on a bee slap.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can say the word for a female dog, but when we should be talking about, when we should be talking about respecting and taking care of our own that fought for our country.
You're right.
So that's how I feel
Jimmy,
about that.
We'll roll it over if we have to, but anybody in particular?
Yeah, one of my uncles, my uncle Chris, and unfortunately he's passed away since, but he was the only one of our family that, my dad served 2 years, but he was the only one that really went overseas.
Well, thank you again to all our Vietnam veterans, to all our veterans in law enforcement, first responders. We love you all, and we acknowledge you on this day. We're going to go to break. When we come back, we're going to talk about fake news. Did the former president really get a hole in one? Way back.
Cop. Okay, let's get back to the show.
Welcome back to the King and the Cop. We're live on 8:20 a.m. WWBA Sports Talk Florida. I'm Tommy Setner. Jimmy Leyritz is out in California, soon counting the days to Augusta, Georgia, and Robin Delory is in Delory Studios with me. Jimmy, you know, this is hysterical to me. The 45th president of the United States, Donald Trump. All right, controversy, always controversy. Let's call it straight up the line. Republican, Democrat, no matter what you are, everybody had an opinion on what you are. They had an opinion. Mr. Trump loves golf. President Trump loves golf, and he plays golf probably on a daily basis. Yesterday it was reported he's on a par 381-yard hole. Takes out a 5-iron, gets a hole-in-one. What's the news say? Fake news. Prove it. You didn't get a hole-in-one. All over the guy. All over him, like they got nothing better to report. So he has to then give his own presidential statement and describe exactly what happened, right down to the wind, and then has Ernie Els and I think it was Duke and another PGA player who he was playing with take a picture with him at the flag, picking the ball out. I mean, can we give him his due? He got a hole-in-one. The man's like 74 years old. I get it. He owns his golf courses, but they're saying, well, it was his golf course. It was probably fixed. Anybody that's ever played the game of golf, I don't know how you fix a hole-in-one.
No, there's no chance. And I love the way that he got into detail and described in typical Trump fashion, magnificently. Sailed magnificently.
Was it tremendous?
To a rather strong win.
Right. And the best is he said,
I'm the best golfer in the whole world.
And then he says at the end, he says, I really didn't want to have to say anything because I don't like to brag. It was classic Trump.
That's like me saying, Mark Wohlers didn't hang that slider.
Right.
It was a nasty pitch on the outside corner, right. And I went out there and I got it. The wind was blowing in, but I hit it far enough. Yeah, I get it.
It's just, I've had the pleasure and respect the office here. I've had the pleasure of sitting in the same room with him, and I happened to be with Shaquille O'Neal and two other people, and we had a meeting with him, and it might have been the funniest and most educational 2.5 hours that we ever had. I mean, the guy's a successful man. I don't agree with everything he says and does, but you can't fake a hole-in-one, and you're surely not faking them. It wasn't like 3 Secret Service agents were playing with him. It was Ernie Els, Hall of Famer, and 2 other PGA professionals. So
the thing I love about it, he says, Gene Sowers, Mike Goodis, and Ken Duke, they were the ones that told him he had the hole-in-one because he was too old to see that far, but they could see. Right. He wasn't claiming he could see the hole, and then he was that good that he just put it right in.
Exactly.
Said, hey, I was lucky too. I didn't see it.
And to that point, Jimmy, the video's out there where he walks up and he looks down in the hole. He says, yep, there it is. Like, you mark your ball. That was his ball. So congratulations, Mr. President. I'm sure we know that at least half of the country is rooting for you to come back. But if not, you could go on the senior tour because that's pretty impressive at your age.
The ball was rigged.
Yeah, I'm sure the ball was a Secret Service CIA ball that found its way to the hole. But
I just want to know what could possibly be a reason to fake that. Like, who cares either way? Like, that's great. But
well, now we're getting political. Everything he's said,
if you're gonna have fake news, why fake a hole-in-one? That's stupid. I'm sure he got a hole-in-one.
I'm 100% positive he got a hole-in-one because, as Jimmy knows, and it's one of them. It's a fun sport, especially when you're playing with your buddies or your colleagues. And I'll share a little baseball type story and be braggadocious, as they say. Talk about busting each other's chops on a golf course. I mean, it's relentless, right? So we used to play a lot, Jimmy, because our days were off and we played night games, as you know. So I go out with Tim Raines, the Hall of Famer Tim Raines, to play golf. And his partner was the great Ron Karkovice, catcher in the big leagues, who you know well. And I have Mike Torres, great MLB pitcher. And, they would joke around that Mike and I were cheating and blah, blah, blah. Well, this was over $25 a piece, a bet. And to tie, I had about a 70-foot putt. And Tim Raines stood over that hole to do everything to distract me so I wouldn't make that putt. And I had no chance of making that putt. If I took 100 shots at it, I wasn't making that putt. I made that putt. And that night during the 17-inning stretch, I played the video off the phone of that putt, and Timmy still laughs his butt off over it. But there is no way, to my point, that nobody's allowing you to make anything or say you made a hole-in-one if you didn't. So, hey, fake news, go out on the golf course and get back to me and tell me how you can make a fake hole-in-one. But
you had a 17-inning game?
Nobody said anything about 17 innings. Did I, Jimmy? Did I say 7th inning stretch? Yeah.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah,
I heard 17th inning stretch.
Matt, did I say 7th inning?
Crazy. I heard it too.
Thank you. You're making up for the phone
it was a long
number.
game. It was 17 inning stretch. Listen to me. Here's what I'll say about that. Maxwell Thomas slept with me last night, the 2-year-old gymnast, in bed, and I don't know that he ever went to bed. And Robin had baby Sagey Joy, and we're punch drunk, and I'm not making excuses. No, I meant to say 7.
I'm just busting your chops, honey. I know what you meant.
7th inning stretch, but I still made I thought you were going to say you made a 70-foot putt, but you told the audience.
That's when they played Dominic the Donkey at the Yankee Stadium, right?
Yeah, no. Did they ever? I don't think they played that, Jimmy.
Yes, they do.
They don't play that stupid
Yes, they
song.
do.
Oh, God.
Jimmy, they don't?
727-518-0820. Maybe Tampa Rays play Dominic the Donkey. I don't remember the Yankees.
They do. Or maybe Shea Stadium or City Field.
It would be a typical Met move.
Well, speaking of golf, Tommy,
Go ahead.
That's why I won't be here Thursday and Friday, because I'm jumping out of plane and I'm heading to Sacramento, California.
There's another golf tournament.
To go play in a golf tournament for Greg Vaughn.
Nice.
Vaughn Valley Foundation, which Vaughn's raises money for the Sacramento area in the valley, and mostly for fighting type 1 diabetes, because his son Corey was diagnosed with T1 at the age of 11. So I'll be there Thursday and Friday raising money and helping that foundation and find a cure for this T1. Mr.
Vaughn's claim to fame, other than doing something spectacular for type 1 diabetes, which was in my family, and we know how hard I had a cousin, and she was still one of my favorite people that I ever had the pleasure of being with, Colleen Fitzsimmons. But good for him. But on the field, what's he most famous for? He's a 50-man home run. Didn't he hit 50 in one year? Yes, he did, with my Padres in '98. Yeah, I mean, he was a clutch hitter. And I remember in the World Series, if I remember, when you were with that team, he hit a home run. Didn't you guys go back-to-back or something like that? I remember him, or in the same game anyway. Him and Tony Gwynn. Okay. So
the Mets. Sorry.
It was the Mets, right?
Yep, the Mets. Dominic the Donkey.
The Yankees don't even have a mascot. Don't ever offend us again. We're not going to have a mascot. The Mets got Mr. Met and all this silly crap, and Dominic the Donkey figures it was the Mets. And then I got Sully, our engineer. I found the song that they used for the 7th inning stretch.
I love him.
You're talking about. Yeah, where'd you find it? Oh, because you're a Met fan. Yeah, we know the song.
Oh, that's it too, but that's not Dominic. They play that too, yeah.
Yeah, they play that too. Yeah, we're back in Italy.
That's the song. It's not Dominic the Donkey, but it's the same artist. It's Lou Marte.
Jimmy, we're losing control of the king and the cop right now. We're losing control. So, Jimmy, what do you do when you go out there? You play with when you play in this charity tournaments. I know you do that a lot. I bust your chops. I thought you were going to tell me you're going to Augusta again. I already have it on my calendar that you're going to be there. Now you got something to report on, Tiger. But what do you team up with 3 other players, or how's that work? Do they have a bunch of celebrities like yourself out there? Yeah, he has a celebrity for each foursome. So there's 5 of us in each foursome. And it's a shamble, though. It's not a scramble. It's a shamble. Explain what a shamble is. The shamble is everybody hits their drive, all 5 people, and you play the best drive, and then you play your own ball in from the drive. So
like miniature golf?
No, not at all.
Oh my God! Like
miniature golf is just putting.
Like we're down.
No, but you hit it. Whoever gets closest gets to go with their ball.
Well, no, not really. After you hit the drive, everybody plays their own ball from that spot. So when they get if I hit a bad shot, my second shot, I still got to hit my shot, the third shot. You're not playing the best ball. The best ball format is called a scramble.
Okay.
Yep.
Which is my favorite because it's the quickest.
I'm going to make an announcement right now. I'm going to make an announcement. We're going to have 2, and I do say 2 we're going to host. We're going to work on this. I'm going to put a committee together. We're going to have 2 King in the Cop golf tournaments, one on the West Coast, one on the East. And we're going to pick a charity. Jimmy's going to pick his favorite charity, and you and I are going to pick our favorite charity. And we're going to do golf tournaments. Jimmy.
That sounds like fun.
Me and you've played in many of them. I've run a couple. I think we should do that. I say I'm making an excuse. It's got to be Pelican Hill or Orange County out there somewhere. We'll have to get working on that. And we'll do something for charity, for a local Tampa charity, and we'll do something for California and Jersey. And I think that would be a lot of fun. Everybody tugs on your coach, Jimmy, to come out and play in these tournaments so they can return to volley, and we'll do some good causes, and we'll get some great celebrities in our tournaments. And what about you, Delora? Are you going to be able to swing a club?
No, but I mean, I'm sure there's be something that I can do. Like I can take the golf cart and make sure everybody's hydrated and
like buy a $40.
Or I could just sit and watch everybody play. Yeah. I mean, I tried. I tried.
You're definitely singing the national anthem for us, right?
I got to work for my supper.
You got to work for your supper. So
I tried hitting that ball once. Remember when we were in Sea Island?
Here's the 2 courses she played. Her uncles are avid golfers, her father's brothers, right? They actually call me and they go, is she really playing Sea Island golf course? And then a month later, did she really play Pebble Beach? They were beside themselves. They couldn't believe it. I was like, listen, she dressed the part. I got a still photo of her, and that's about it, But she tried. I give her that.
I want to, I really would like to, because I know how much you love it. It'd be fun,
Well, Michelle's playing.
I know, but Michelle's good.
Well, tell the audience, Jimmy, why Michelle is she's training for the Olympics in Scotland. Is that so? Your wife?
Yes. We about a year and a half ago, 2 years, right before COVID, we were in Nantucket with our friends Kate and Red Walsh, and they were talking about going to Scotland. And my wife was like, "Oh my God, if you go to Scotland, we'll go with you." And then Katie looked at her and said, "Well, do you play golf?" And my wife said, "No, why would I play golf?" She says, "This is a golf trip. And if the couples that are going, they all both play golf." We came home, we talked, and my wife said, "Jimmy, I'm going to learn how to play golf because
nice.
I really want to go to Scotland."
I love it.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, I'm not being corny. This is my best friend on the left, so I would love for her to play. But I don't know that I could afford it because when we were in Pebble, they were charging us $80 every round for drinks. So,
Dave, why don't we start this? Because it's very important that husbands and wives, they do things together. They have
doing
like
a radio
hobbies.
show together.
Well, how about like helping me with the dishes tonight?
See, I knew there was a shot coming up. So there you go. I'm sorry. I'll clean the DoorDash dishes. Definitely. Thank you. Jimmy, all kidding aside, when you saw the Yankee thing that we talked about before with Aaron Hicks, and it strike that he was a little obnoxious with his language. Don't you believe the Yankees really need to start believing that they're the best team in baseball again and walking around like they are?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I again, it wasn't the usual Yankee tradition that you see kind of podcast, but I do think that's what they need. They need to have personality, and that was one of the things that we always said that, whenever the Yankees started to kind of fall off, it was, there's no personalities there. They're not even fun to watch because they're not having fun. I mean, they ran Nick Swisher out because they thought he was too fun. And then now they have him back as a courtesy coach or whatever you call it for spring training. Now he's back, and it's all about his personality, his what he brings to the field every day. But it was so funny because that's something that 10 years ago they ran him out of town because, and they realized maybe we need some of that.
Yeah, I watched again for the second time or third time on MLB Network. They had a documentary called Billy Martin. I'm not sure if you saw it yet. And, he was, Steinbrenner, I think it was 6 times he was the manager, Jimmy, 5 or 6 times they hired, but he was one of the best managers. And here's a guy that fight you at the drop of a hat. If you said anything about the Yankees or you argued anything but that the Yankees were the best. And, people loved him for that. People loved Mr. Steinbrenner for that. And I think since Mr. Steinbrenner's passed, I was saying this to Robin this morning. It's become more like a business. It's more like a business now, and I understand it's a business, and it should be a business with the money people are making. But when you get between the chalk, where's that cockiness and where's that fight that took you from little league to college? I skipped high school to college, or right to the big leagues like you. You need it, and I hope to see it. And I think everybody's become too friendly on the field.
Yeah. I agree. Hey, I just got to give a quick shout out. One of my good buddies, Fantasy Camp, and has now become over the years a really, really good friend of mine, Damian Mastico, is watching our show from his office in New York. So
nice. Thanks, Damian.
Shout out. Thanks for tuning in, Damian.
How about that Fantasy Camp, Jimmy? That's pretty cool too. Were the Yankees the first? And if not the first, I know they were soon after. You get them guys, the armchair quarterbacks, as they say, even though it's a football term, but they get to go and pay a little money and go down there and kibitz with the former players like yourself and go out to dinner and then after the second day they're wrapped up like a mummy and taped up because they don't realize how hard the game is. They're all out of shape,
Yeah, it's one of those things. They come down and within 2 days they're going, they're playing 2 games a day and they realize that how hard it really is. But the real kicker for Fantasy Camp is after the games are over with to go hang out with the legends and the players and take them to dinner and hear their stories. And it's really cool for us because we get to hear their stories of what it was like to be a fan during our playing days that we never got a chance to really see. So it's a pretty good week.
How many people have said to you, I know exactly where I was when you hit that home run against Mark Wallers. Robin and I have been here in company when that's happened. We went out to dinner, you and I, the other night with a group of guys. Of course, I know exactly where I was, Jimmy. Here's the waiter. And the waitress was from Boston, which was funny. And you signed an autographed picture, and she almost cried.
Oh,
because you played for the Red Sox for a minute, but she just couldn't believe, it was great. And then, we had 5 or 6 people there. 3 of them were from Fordham University, all established, well-positioned businessmen, but they couldn't get enough of the Jimmy Leyritz. They wanted question after question and question how it is to be a ball player. And one of them was a football player at Fordham, but they know that you're a world-class athlete when you get to that level, when you're in the NFL or MLB or NBA, soccer, whatever it is. But it's got to be a good feeling for you. It never gets old, right?
It's interesting too because I'm out in California, in Orange County, and I think the San Diego Padres that went to the World Series, and I get asked more about the Yankees
Guys,
down here in California than I do.
Yeah.
It's just about playing for the Yankees is pretty special. But you are listening to 820 WWBA, the Big 8. Tommy Sentner, Jim Leyritz, and Robin DeLoria. We'll be back.
Information, entertainment.
This is the real world.
AM 820, 96.7 FM Tampa, 98.3 FM Pinellas. Tampa Bay's home for Bubba the Love Sponge. Morning 6 to 10. Big 8.
The Big 8.
A portion of the upcoming broadcast is brought to you in part by the law firm of Catania. Serving Tampa Bay families for over 28 years. Offices Tampa, not attorney spokesman. It's time to get back to the show. Hello, the King and the Cop continues with Tommy, Jimmy, and Robin.
Welcome back to the King and the Cop. Jimmy Leyritz, Tommy Setner, and Robin Delory. We're on the West Coast and we're on New Jersey also, me and Robin. I believe we have JC on the line. JC, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. Hey, anyway, the most unbelievable thing I ever saw at a fantasy camp down here in St. Pete, the Cardinals had one, and there's a guy at shortstop. He's got eye black on. He's got wristbands. He's got a tailored uniform. There's an old man on second base with a glove that looked like from 1940, completely flat, 5 fingers, and Pepitone is hitting infield. He hits the guy, the shortstop, a ground ball, and he says, "Get 2." The guy catches it. He throws it 100 miles an hour, hits the old man in the chest, knocks him on his ass, and Pepitone charges the guy and totally embarrassed him. You almost killed the old man. It was unbelievable.
Jimmy, I'm sure, like JC Witness, you got some stories about Joe Pepitone. He was quite the character. We had him out at Bear Stadium a couple times. That's all there.
Why, did you ever read his book? I mean, his book is like the best book I've ever read. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear of Pat Jordan?
No, I don't. Jimmy?
Pat Jordan
played minor league ball with Joe Torre. He was on Atlanta, but he wrote some great books. And if anybody out there is listening, it's like a false spring. It's about how it's really like to be in the minors.
No, we'll have to get that and read it. You know, so much controversy lately with the minor league players and what they're entitled to and what they receive salary-wise. That's probably a good read.
You know, Jim, all I ever wanted to be was a minor league player and do those bus rides because I knew I could never go above D ball or A ball or anything. But the only one to ever draft me was the United States Army.
Oh.
Well, that's a real hero. Yeah, that's a real hero. When did you serve, JC?
Thank you, Jimmy.
When did you serve? What years?
In Vietnam.
You what? In Vietnam?
Yeah, Vietnam, 67, 68 for the Tet Offensive.
And where did you grow up?
I grew up in Jersey. I was born in Kearney, and I lived in Harrison, and then I moved to Woodbridge. And then I smartened up and moved to Florida. And I was a mailman up there for 12 years. I said, I can't handle this cold.
I can't believe you even had to ask him where he was from. It is so obvious.
You know, I was hoping that you said you wanted to be drafted by the Newark Bears since you were a Kearney boy back in the day.
Oh, hey, the Newark, you know what, Jim? The Newark Bears had the second best team in the American League in the late 30s and 40s.
Did you go to any of the games when you were a kid? At Rupert Stadium.
My father used to go all the time because he was a Kearney guy. And the Newark Bears had what I said is they had the second best team in the American League. And what were they? I know. AAA? They weren't called AAA. What were they called then?
No, I don't know. But the Yankee owner owned them. And I know Yogi Berra was a Newark Bear. And, Newark had so many Hall of Famers come out of there with the Bears and the Eagles. Pretty cool. Listen, don't be a stranger. And we respect your service and thank you for your service. If not for guys like you, we wouldn't even be on the radio. So
thanks, JC.
Keep in touch, JC. We appreciate it.
I love your show. And are you in Old Bridge?
You know
I love him.
You know what's funny?
What did you just say? Are you using Old Bridge?
Yeah,
I love it.
We love up here, Jimmy, in the North. Use is not a word, but it is for us Jersey people.
It is for us.
But yeah, no, my kids live down in Old Bridge. This is Tommy. They live down in Old Bridge, and we went and did a high school baseball game the other day, and our guest earlier today, Bob Brown, was a decorated Old Bridge cop. So got a lot of connections to Old Bridge.
My nephew's a Woodbridge cop right now.
Good for him. I know a lot of Woodbridge cops.
Those Eisman went to Old Bridge.
No, South River. Him and Drew Pearson, South River.
Right.
I wish they went to Old Bridge.
He went to South River. You're right.
That's right.
You know who took over at quarterback after Joe Theismann?
I do not.
Drew Pearson.
That's what I said, Drew Pearson. I didn't know he was quarterback. I know he was a wide receiver, but I know they both went to the same high school.
Quarterback after Theismann, whose real name is Thiesman, you know.
Is it really?
Yeah, he changed it when he was at Notre Dame to rhyme with Heisman.
Oh, good trivia there. Good trivia.
That's
Was
a
Rudy
true
ever up consideration for the Heisman, or no?
Yeah,
He
he
didn't
was
make the team.
considerate.
Yeah.
You know, he was one smart guy. But the funniest thing ever, when one time they sent him in and the Redskins go relieve the quarterback, and the quarterback that was out there was Billy Kilmer. He told him, "Get off this field right now. This is my field." And he walked back, and the coach goes, "What happened?" He said, "He threw me off."
Yeah.
I'm spending too much time.
Billy Kilmer known to have a few beers at halftime. JC, thanks for calling in.
Thanks, guys.
I appreciate you so much and in your service to our country. Jimmy, I love hearing from guys like that, right? You just, when these guys move to the next greatest place in life, you can't appreciate the stories they tell and the life experience they had. And that's just a cold call coming in for us, and a used guy from New Jersey, which we love. But, great veteran, and it's good to hear. But, yeah, the Newark Bears, Jimmy, the history there, and the Newark Eagles, they had some unbelievable ball players. And back then, AAA was the move before you went to the big leagues. But the Yankees had so many greats, they had overflow, and they used to be on the Newark Bears. So, pretty cool stuff. Good call. So call us if you want to be like JC. Give us a call. Tell us about your personal experience, 727-518-0820.
Jimmy, you know what I never asked you?
What's that?
I know Michelle loves the theater. This is just a random question. Did she ever take you to see Damn Yankees?
Yes, we did.
Okay. It's just such a great show. And the opening number is called 6 Months. 6 months out of every year, and the wives are on the stage. Well, in the Broadway production, the wives are on the stage with the men in recliners, and the recliners turn around and they rotate because 6 months out of every year, and they do this choreography. It's great.
And they're watching the games.
They're gone for 6 months. Yeah. We have to play that. Anyway,
Jimmy, what's going on in Russia besides the war? They still have our girl. Still no news.
Still, yep. Brittany Griner is still stuck there, and I was just reading some of the stuff about her the other day. Some of the charges and what they're saying is that she's possibly facing a 10-year sentence, which could be kind of scary.
Which is just being used as leverage for us to do something or say something. It's just propaganda crap like that's been going on since the aforementioned Vietnam. Speaking of Vietnam, one of my, and I was blessed to meet him and have a conversation with him, Senator John McCain. It's a day that we should, I would hope that it would get more attention, these prisoners of war and what they went through. And, all these years later, they're holding one of our WNBA stars over there because of silliness, if you will. Nobody would even pay attention to it over here. But when does this crap end? And I'm one thing I'll say about the President Trump, he didn't mess around when it came to stuff like this. They would not have this young lady over there more than a 24-hour period. And I just don't understand what our Department of Defense is doing. And I'm sure they give some big story, but I can't imagine being the parents or the relatives of her right now because, when they're at war like this, God only knows what could happen. And be blamed, they could blame it on anything, So Godspeed to her. I wish we'd get her home soon. That's ridiculous. So what else, Jimmy? Any updates on Tiger Woods' first round at practice round? Or?
No, they're like I said, they saw his plane. The plane is there.
Yeah.
At the airport, but there has been no Tiger sighting on the course as far as what they're saying so far. But
I'm sure there's a bunch of photographers, paparazzi in the bushes looking for him. But who do you believe was the greatest Masters champion? Forget how many jackets he has. Who do you feel like when you think about Masters? Who do you think about?
I think of three people. I think because I don't say anybody was the greatest because I think every era is different. You know, technology, new clubs, things change over time. But I always say that, you know, who does the Masters have every year, Tommy? Gary Player, Jack Nicklaus,
and Arnold Palmer before he passed, you know.
He's no longer able to compete. The next one will be Tiger Woods.
Yeah, you're right. You know, Jimmy, do you think for the golfers, and I watch a lot of them, and I get a big kick out of it, Bubba comes out, and a lot of them come out, and they watch that early morning. I can't believe they all don't come out. But that, for some of those golfers, has to be like when DiMaggio and Mantle and Berra were at Old Timers game, and you're sitting on the bench, and it's your time and watching them. Who would possibly not want to digest that, witness it? Were there players when you played that didn't care about the old timers, the legends?
Well, no, actually, when I was playing, it was that the players actually, the old timers actually dressed in our locker room and took our locker. We had to share that with them when we came in. And I always had Moose Scour and Hank Bauer in my locker, which was great because these guys told some stories that you wouldn't believe. But the one thing, Tommy, about the old timers day is I learned my very first one in 2004. I get announced and I'm standing right next to Jim Abbott. And as the final four get announced, Mickey Mantle, Joe DiMaggio, actually it wasn't DiMaggio, it was Mickey Mantle, it was Reggie, it was Yogi, it was Phil Rizzuto. And Jim Abbott, after they announced, you know, Yogi was, I think, the last one. Jim Abbott looked at me and goes, "Dude, what are we doing here?"
Right. Hey,
how are we so lucky to be blessed to be part of this?
For our listeners, how about Jim Abbott? What a courageous athlete he was, grew up. I don't know how to describe it, Jimmy. Maybe you know the medical term for it, but, you know, I have a dear family friend that son was born with the same disease. And basically, I guess what it is, Jimmy, he was born with no fingers, correct?
Right.
And I'll say his first name, Blaze. I'm proud of him. His dad, Matt. Jim Abbott came to meet him. And this kid went on to be a lefty pitcher and went on to St. Joe's and pitch in college there. And Jim Abbott was a big supporter of his. But tell people what he used to. He used to throw with one hand and catch with one hand, and threw a no-hitter.
Yeah, so he didn't have a forearm or a hand. He just basically had a stump, and he used to put the glove on the stump, and then he would throw with his left hand. And as he threw with his left hand, he would come on the stump, and he would grab the glove, and he'd be ready to catch. And Tommy, I played against him the very first time as a 16-year-old when I played in Cincinnati for Midland. And we played against him. He played for a team in Corpus Christi, Texas. And it wasn't Corpus, it was Michigan. And the first time he pitched against us, typical young kids who had never seen that before. Hey, let's bunt on him. Let's bunt on him.
Right. Take advantage.
Right? Yeah, he can't field it. And the first two guys bunted, and he got both of them out like any normal pitcher would have. And kind of pretty much derailed that idea, but just an amazing story, amazing kid, and just even a better person. That just there's nothing you can say bad about Jim Abbott.
No, he's definitely a legend in a different way. But we're going to break. Call us 727-518-0820. Tommy Setner, Jimmy Leyritz, and Robin Delory. Again, thank you, Vietnam veterans. And Jim Abbott, you are one hell of a man, as they say, both on the field and off the field. We'll see you after break.
with the King and the Cop.
Welcome back to the King and the Cop. We're live in Tampa, Big 8 Radio, 8:20 a.m., Sports Talk, Florida. I'm Tommy Setner. I got Jimmy Leyritz and Robin DeLory today. Guys, what do you think? I got a chuckle right now because I was just looking. I get alerts like we all do on our phone, and the top 3 stories are Jada Pinkett breaks her silence on Oscars. Whoopi Goldberg. Whoopi was weighing in. She didn't like it.
Oh, sure.
She beats people down for a living. And then Alec Baldwin is having his 7th child. Good red herring there, brother. Good red herring.
What did Whoopi say about it?
She doesn't support Will's actions in it. But I don't watch that show. I can't watch that show. But, it crosses your news once in a while, The View. But, this is, again, what's wrong with our country? There's nothing on there. It's just why I was on there looking and see anybody say this great Vietnam veteran today, blah, blah, blah. Nope, it's about Sean Hannity. He called Kellyanne Conway by mistake Kellyanne Trump. He called her using Trump as the last name. And everybody's on his case today because he's always saying Biden has no idea where he is, forgets what he's saying. So now they're blaming Hannity. He's losing his mind. It's hysterical, but I guess this slap around the world is going to linger on. I hope we can stop talking about it tomorrow. But, if our callers feel like they want to talk about it, we're open entertainment, 727-518-0820. What's the opinion in your household? What's Mrs. Leyritz thinking about it? Does she care? Does she? What is her position on Mr. Will Smith?
She does not care. She thinks it's completely wrong in every sense of the word. And she just said, you know what? I don't watch the Oscars anymore because it's just gotten that bad over the years. And she loves some of the movies, but she could care less about the awards and everything else. And so she didn't even watch the Oscars.
Right. We didn't either. You know what? I was laying in bed and Robin was doing some laundry downstairs. And I had it on because I had nothing else to watch, but I had my back to it. And then I heard the TV go blank as if they were, muting something somebody said. And then I turned around and it was this fiasco. But,
she was busy watching Marie Antoinette with my daughter, Isabella, because they are embarking on Paris on Friday, April 5th.
That's right. They're leaving this weekend. Yeah.
Michelle wanted to get her in the mood to be hit.
Yeah, absolutely. What a great idea.
Yeah, so they did that, and then they also watched, what was it? They watched Hemingway, because they're going to go to Hemingway's apartment that he had, his flat that he had in Paris, I guess.
I think that's such a great idea because I have to say, you all know that I just got back from Italy, and had I known certain things, I would have looked for them and probably appreciated them more. When I came home from Italy, I tried to learn it so that I could connect with what I saw. But it makes so much sense to do that before so that you really understand or have somewhat of an understanding. And then I don't know if they're going to get, we had a private tour guide and somebody that, took us through the important, places to visit. And we just learned so much. So I think that that's such a good idea to watch and learn beforehand.
Michelle made this trip 2 years ago with our other daughter, Ava. So she made a pact with them when her mother passed away, unfortunately, 9 years ago, that she never got to travel with her mother because they were waiting till the grandparents passed away so that her and her mother could travel. And unfortunately, she passed away too soon. And her and her mom never got to take these trips. And I said to Michelle, you know what? Don't wait. When they turn, and she said, I'm not. When they turn 16, I'm taking both of them to Paris. So 2 years ago, she took Ava, and now she's taking Bella. And we have two completely opposite daughters. We have one daughter that wanted to be a PA, medical, everything else, but she loves the history of Paris and everything else. But then we have our second daughter who is more in the fashion industry, and she's going to love the fashion part of Paris. And she's choosing possibly FIT to go to college in New York. And of course, they have a study abroad program in Paris. So she's going to be checking that out. And and we'll see. It'll be
Awesome.
something kind of neat.
That's
because
pretty cool.
you never really get to experience that. Most kids probably don't.
You been to Paris?
I've never been. Well, yeah, I was there, but unfortunately, the first day there, after going by the Eiffel Tower, I got food poisoning, and I missed the last 3 days of our visit.
Ugh.
Wow. That's nasty, food poisoning.
I saw Emily in Paris. Does that count?
It counts.
Yeah.
It's cheaper.
Yeah. I binge watched it. It was adorable.
It's enough. You working on in Italy for 10 days. Enough. You're done. You found it.
Speaking of, I'm not done. I've only just begun, baby.
Oh, okay. Will you be taking vacation like Leyritz or?
Yeah. I'm going to go on holiday.
Oh, on holiday.
That's what they call it.
Yes.
I'm going to go on a holiday.
She's going to go to a golf tournament on holiday in Scotland.
Yeah. And, but I heard about the Oscars. I had a session this morning with a friend of mine who said that we have similar interests and in what we watch. And he was telling me that he was surprised I didn't see it, but I'm just not a big movie watcher anymore because I'm a streamer, I'm just a binge watcher. But he said, I must not miss the movie Coda. I have to see it. He said it's a must. So I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Usually gets a bump when they win the Oscar like that. I have a funny text I just got from a friend that I guess we're all classified as conservative, liberals, whatever, but we're good friends. And said, TC, tell Mr. Leyritz and yourself that unless Ernie Els comes on TV and says he witnessed the hole-in-one, it's fake news as far as he's concerned. You can tell he's a I could say this, he's a Democrat. He's in political life, but that's funny. He doesn't believe that. I'll have to get my man Spence Geisinger on, who worked for the Republicans to counter with that. But
who's not part of a political party?
Who's that?
Our dog. And the dog just rang the bell. So I think I should let him out.
Okay, so go do your thing. Go in the middle of a show.
Well, what do you? I'm going to end up cleaning up the accident.
You can't make this up for you listeners. This is the Big 8 Radio. Robin Delorie's on her way to let out the dog so he can go to the bathroom like every other problem. But call us at 727-518-0820. Jimmy, as we're wrapping up this day, I guess Tiger's maybe stealing a little bit of the Masters news again. There's thought that he's out there practicing. Other people are saying the plane's there, that he's just bringing his son Charlie out there to play a little bit. That being said, it's good for the game of golf. I'll look forward to following up with the Golf Channel later tonight and seeing what they're reporting.
Yeah, listen, maybe it's one of those things that Tiger's like, hey, listen, Charlie, come with me. And we'll just say we're playing a practice round just for you and I to have some fun, just so I can test out if I can walk this course or not and how I feel the next day. And if he feels good tomorrow or whenever he plays, maybe he gives it a shot for Thursday and Friday and see what happens.
I'm sure one of his closest friends right now, one of the younger guys, not that he's a rookie anymore, and my pick to win the Masters, Justin Thomas, spends a lot of time with the Woods family. I'm sure he'll be out there walking around with him, playing a little bit. He's still my pick. I'm going to make you go on record every day. Who's your pick?
I after researching it, Morikawa became my guy.
Really?
Yeah, I picked PJ first, but after doing some research, I had to go back with Morikawa.
All right. When did they get these guys live in? You've been out there in Augusta. I mean, it's beautiful, but it's not like it's in a major city with major hotels. And a lot of these guys, they rent the houses around there, and it's hard to find a place to stay, correct?
Yeah. I mean, there's no hotels. If you want to stay at a hotel, it's like $475 a night for a Motel 6.
Wow.
It's that bad.
You should put in Winnebago.
Michelle, because Michelle keeps wanting to go. And I go, babe, first of all, it's too expensive. I said, second of all, if you drove through this town, you would not even know that the Masters.
You told me that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do people bring their RVs?
Yes, they do.
Well,
we got to do that, Tommy.
Yeah. A lot of people, Jimmy, as you know, they rent these homes out in a lot of the different towns where these PGA tours are. And they count on this being, paying their mortgage. I mean, paying like COVID. That's what disturbed COVID a lot.
Well, no, I'm one of the guys that rents these houses with John Anthony, and we paid $30,000 for the week, and that $30,000 basically pays their entire mortgage for the entire year.
Yeah.
So a lot of them rent their houses out.
I'm glad that's why everything's back in motion, and I guess they're talking about different viruses again, ripping apart a couple of different countries, and I'm seeing people already argue you took the mask off the kids in school again, but now they're talking about possible another virus. And man, Augusta probably is one of the, I think it's the most, well, I can't say that, but it's one, I've never been there, but it's one of the most beautiful, atmospheres you can ever see in a golfer. And of course, my favorite, and I was lucky enough, Robin took me there for my birthday for Pebble Beach. I don't know that Jack Nicklaus calls that if he could only play one course the rest of his life, it would be Pebble Beach, but Augusta's pretty special too, right, Jimmy?
Yeah, no, it is. It's got a special vibe to it when you walk through those gates and you see the course, and the practice range is on the left, and it's just a really, really, it's a really cool atmosphere. It kind of reminds me of when Billy Crystal described the first time he walked into the old Yankee Stadium as a kid, and as he came through the tunnel, and all of a sudden the field just opened up, and what that feeling was like to see that. It's the same thing with the Masters. You walk inside those gates and you walk through some trees, and then all of a sudden it just opens up to this gorgeous, beautiful golf course.
So when you get there, you and John and a couple of guys, what do you go in, a van?
Well, what we do is we drive our car from our house, which is usually between 3 and 5 miles away. We drive it to the Wheels Up hospitality suite.
Okay.
And we park the car there, and we go in, we have our breakfast, we have our drinks, whatever, at the hospitality suite. And the hospitality suite is less than a mile from the front gate.
Do you get to go down Magnolia Lane?
Yes. Club Magnolia is one of my favorite hangouts.
So you gotta, are you allowed a phone or you're not allowed a phone?
You're not allowed, you're allowed to take the phone all the way up to the front gate. And then they have a place where you check your phones in, because some people at least want to get a picture in front of the famous front gates of the Masters, which you cannot go through the turnstile with anything.
Wow. So I guess you won't be able to report to me is what you're saying.
Yeah, unfortunately, under normal conditions, if the Yankees weren't opening up on April 7th, I would go to the Masters on the 4th and be there from the 4th to the
practice
10th. Because the practice rounds, you can take the camera in. The par 3 contest, which is on Wednesday, you could take your phone in, but you can't take your phone in after Thursday.
Yeah, interesting. Well, I know you're going to enjoy it. I'm going to put it on my wish list and get out there. I'd like to see it. Love to play it, but it's almost impossible to play. You got to obviously know a member, and they're very strict about even that. I understand, correct?
Well, even if you know a member, it costs you $50,000
to play.
Yep.
One round.
Yep. $50,000 per person.
Come on.
Swear to God.
Well, I guess we better hook up and see if Bill Gates is a member and he'll take us and pay for
Let's
us.
just go to Top Golf, honey.
Top Golf it is. I mean, really. What's a simulator? We'll have to get one of those.
We like the chicken wings there.
Oh, my goodness. Is that true, Jimmy? $50,000 for a guest?
Yep. Yeah, it's not cheap. It's not cheap.
Wow. I mean, they better give you a car for $50,000. Jeez. I don't know.
Maybe have a remote control fake ball that you get a fake news hole in one.
Exactly.
I heard a story one time, TC, they were telling me about a guy played there and he hit a hole in one. And they took a photograph of him on the hole and the whole thing. And by the time he finished this round, they had a painting done of it. And they said, for $20,000, if you want to buy this painting,
wow,
we did this for you.
Yeah, no thanks. Screw, I'll get my own painting.
I'll take a picture of it.
Are you kidding me? My goodness. Yeah,
Exactly.
I mean, I think I know the answer to this. You've never played, right?
I've never played there, no.
Yeah, I remember listening to Secretary Condoleezza Rice. She became a member there, and she just said, as an avid golfer, it just, you had this surreal feeling when you were on the grounds. And I think, she's a big football fan and big sports fan. And I knew her chief of staff, and they say there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. So it's anybody can play Pebble Beach. That's the good thing of it. But if you played the Masters, I guess you had to have an extra 50 grand laying around. Amazing.
I wonder how much drinks are there, hon.
Believe it or not, though, Robin, believe it or not, the Masters is the cheapest beers. You can get a $2 beer. You can get a $1 sandwich, which is their famous, what is it?
What is their famous sandwich? They have their own thing.
Pomani and cheese. Pomani and cheese sandwich is the famous. It's like a cheese jelly sandwich, and it's like the most famous thing. Like, if you go there, you have to have one of these.
Wow.
Well, everybody, we look forward to next week. It's a good sports weekend. This weekend we got Final Four, and we'll report on that. But we'll see you tomorrow. You're listening to the Big 8, 820 AM WWBA Sports Talk Florida. I'm Tommy Setner for Jimmy Leyritz and Robin DeLory. Have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow and hear you tomorrow at 4 p.m. live Eastern Time.